As we continue to speculate about the pretty well possible version 4.0 on the horizon for No Man's Sky, I want to do what I do every year and speculate with a list of wish list items I would like to see launch with that giant update. A list of 5 features that realistically could come to the next big update for No Man's Sky, and of course stay to the end for a absolutely controversial item. And once again, welcome back to the LZ. My friends and family of the LZ, so good to see you back, my fellow travelers gathering together again to speculate and wish for the new upcoming 4.0 update. Before we get started though, real quick, I want to give a shout out to my friends in the UK and fellow travelers doing their meetup thing in Guildford right now, just pretty close to the studio there. While I just sit here salty and jealous, and I'm just gonna sit here and, watch and spectate and enjoy the fellowship over there. Check this hashtag to check out some of the cool stuff that might have happened there. I think that is ongoing or probably happened just now at the time of recording. So for those of you that are like 4.0 LZ, what do you mean? That's not possible right now. Right now, I believe we are sitting on like 3.99 as of the latest bug fix that has launched on all platforms following the most recent update. I put together a list of 5 things that I really want to talk about as far as what I hope to see in the next giant update. Now, of course, those of us who have been following, we know that No Man's Sky is also coming to the Nintendo Switch in October, so look forward to that as well. It's very well likely that the 4.0 update, whatever that is, of course, will launch in line with the Nintendo Switch edition. That has historically happened with a previous launch. The next version of No Man's Sky, the second giant update that the game got that came with third-person cameras and a big reset and things like that, that also launched on the Xbox One at the same time. Probably one of my favorite updates. So without any further ado, I want to talk about my 5 things I really, really hope is going to come along with the 4.0 update. Speaking of the Nintendo Switch edition, I can already say that at this point, there really is no excuse but to include cross-save and progression. No Man's Sky is virtually on every platform instead of poor old Stadia over there in the corner that it somehow is still alive. But we have it on PC, we have it on last-gen consoles, we have it on new-gen consoles, it's on Steam Deck, it's coming to Nintendo Switch. The game already has cross-play, which is really good, but what we would really like to see is a system implemented now that will allow us to carry our saves and progressions across platforms. This is doubly true with the number of expeditions that Hello Games has had with the game so far. The last few updates, there's been, 5 expeditions so far? And I would love to be able to carry my progress for those expeditions across multiple platforms. Even Battlefield 2042 has cross-save and cross-progression. So it's really nice to be able to be playing on the PS5 version of the game and then move over to the PC version if I need to, right? So now that we're bringing No Man's Sky into a more of a handheld type of sort of focus with the Steam Deck and the Switch. The Switch is selling game busters, by the way. I think probably a lot of you probably have a Switch. I know I do. I would love to be able to just throw it together on the Switch or move my save over to the PC version. Now, I don't exactly know what that looks like. I don't like talking about problems without talking about possible solutions with my limited experience and hopefully trying to sound like I hopefully know what I'm talking about here. We already kind of have a sort of username in the No Man's Sky verse that comes along with like in-game friends requests and things like that. So using that kind of tag to be able to upload our saves to sort of a Hello Games server and then be able to use them across platforms would be absolutely great. So number 1, I would say that's probably the biggest thing that I think should happen. It is well overdue. My number 2 item, one of the things that has probably not gotten an attention for quite a while, right? Terrain has been overhauled to look great. The recent update made it to where when you are entering the atmosphere from space, you can see objects from further away. Clouds have been overhauled, storms have been overhauled, we've gotten lightning and things like that. But one of the things that has yet to see an overhaul to really flesh it out is water. Now, water was recently, I think last year during the Frontiers update, was rumored to launch with an overhaul to water shaders and water graphics. Now, that was one of the few items that didn't come to fruition, but of course, we were knee-deep in a pandemic then, and of course, features could be cut or they could be moved to future updates. That has been historically true so many times with No Man's Sky. Now, I don't know if I'm nitpicking or just being a critic here like I normally am, but water is just... it kind of takes me out of it. It barely moves. If you're swimming in third person, it looks like you're floating 5 feet above the water. They did fix the horizon glitches that made the horizons of oceans look bumpy for some reason. So now the water line at the horizon looks straight and good, which is fine. Now, I'm not picky. I don't have, too high of expectations. What I would love to see something that looks gorgeous like Sea of Thieves, right? I am totally understanding if that doesn't come to pass. That's totally fine. But I want to see some buoyancy. I want to see some, waves kicking up, right? I want to see some seas get rowdy when it's storming and things like that. I want the water to have a little more life because right now oceans just as great as they look under the water. The water line and the actual water itself is just not that great. My number 3 item, something else that might want a little more attention and something that I've talked about in the past is your freighters. Just with this most recent update, got a pretty big overhaul, right? There's more convenience, there's new rooms, things just look much better. The customization of base building on freighters is great, but frigates still have kind of gone without much attention. Now, frigates currently only really exist to send out on missions, to do Star Trek type things and come back and bring you a bunch of rewards. But in true Hello Games fashion, they have built something to make you really wonder. They've given this foundational feature and haven't fleshed it out, but maybe they plan on do it. Kind of like portals, right? Portals were in the game for an entire year before they were finally activated and given a purpose. Frigates, you can land on frigates. They have interiors. They have 4 separate pads that you and your buddies can land on, and that's it. The frigates in the game are just so beautiful. They have so much potential. I would love to be able to land my ship on a frigate and fly the frigate. I would love to do things like FTL type missions with my buddies on frigates. There's so much potential there. Or even to just be a ship that you can build a small base in and things like that. Put some storage in. Flesh it out a little bit more. I think there's so much potential and I just want to fly a really big ship, damn it. I just feel like there's so much potential with frigates that is completely being wasted, or just not really doing a lot to reach its high level of potential that I currently see with. Now, for number 4, I'm not exactly a scientist or a developer or a coder, but if tuition were to tell me anything, that this next item might be a little easier than, say, making giant Sea of Thieves type waves with the water overhaul, but dungeons on planets are totally needed. So far, if you know me, my very favorite update that No Man's Sky has ever gotten was the Desolation update. That launched in Halloween of 2020, just after, I believe, the Beyond update that basically let you raid derelict freighters. It was like you mix Dead Space with Metroid Prime. You land on these sort of broken down freighters. They're filled with monsters or evil robots and things like that. Not only would I like to see that fleshed upon a little bit more, maybe offer some bosses at the end, little things like that I think would be cool, but I would love to see Hello Games sort of copy and paste that concept from freighters down to planets. And it's a pretty hotly requested item for the fan base as well. Give us some big temples or, ruined cities or ruined ruins. I don't know. It seems like the technology already kind of exists to sort of move that down to planets. Now, of course, that might be a little bit different because you're not out in space where you're drawing a bunch of terrain and things like that. But trying to think intuitively, I would love to see that kind of thing moved to planet sides as well. It would be a great sort of looter-shooter opportunity that you can put into No Man's Sky, where you and your buddies can sort of co-op this sort of sprawling dungeon. And by the way, Minecraft has dungeons, or at least, places that you can sort of dig down to with your buddies and raid, possibly die in. I just think it would be really cool. Now, of course, before we get to the last one, which is obviously going to be the most controversial one, if you've enjoyed the video so far, thank you for stopping by the LZ. Pop a like on the video if it's been informational to your traveling experience, and of course, subscribe for future videos. But number 5, this is always a big one. I catch so much hell for this one, and will continue to catch hell on this one. But of course, down in the description below, I'm going to paste a video to Beeblebum's channel. He recently put a video out talking about ship building and customization. Again, check the description for that. I thought it was one of the more well thought out videos talking about something that's so controversial. Now, why is ship building and ship customization so controversial in the community? Because you have sort of two camps. You have people that love to sort of ship hunt, right? Using the RNG to bring you sort of these randomly constructed ships, procedurally constructed ships that will, either get you just a pile of crap or a really beautiful ship. The other camp is just saying, you know what? I want there to be a meta where I can not only hunt for my own ship, but I can also participate in unlocking or building ship parts that I can swap out parts on my ship for. This is including wings, engines, cockpits, you name it. It should be achievable in No Man's Sky to build and customize ships, even the colors. Now, the argument to this is that this would kind of ruin the RNG hunt, right? This would kind of taint the idea of me standing at a trade station waiting for ships that are circling around to land so that I can be like, that's a nice ship, or time to land on a different planet, right? To me, who has time, right? Who has time? That's not a very engaging experience to me when you already have sort of the framework to not only build and customize ships, but make it a gameplay loop. Now, I have sort of far moved on from the gameplay loop argument that I have previously had, but a few of my fellow creators, like Captain Steve, is talking about the gameplay loop still sort of lacking in certain areas. And some of the best updates that I find for No Man's Sky have really paid attention to the gameplay loop. I mentioned Desolation earlier. That was a huge gameplay loop. Games updates like Synthesis, which actually I think came shortly before Desolation, added some attention to the gameplay loop. The gameplay loop was sort of ship hunting and scrapping ships for nanites and parts, and it gave you a capability of increasing the inventory of your ships and things like that. That's gameplay loop to me, and shipbuilding could really, really ramp that up, especially if they take the concept of what they did with the Origins update. Origins essentially was sort of like a mega quality of life update that also focused on variety, right? So essentially, Hello Games just took a bunch of new assets, poured them into the games, added storms and things like that, and it really just sort of ramped up the RNG. It sort of increased the appeal of planets. I would love for Hello Games to just do that same thing. Also on the screen now is art that never made it into the game that was made by one of the main artists of Hello Games, Bo Lamb, and it just sort of shows you the sort of potential that you have to increase and build and customize ships, right? Just add in a bunch of new wings and new engines and new cockpits and noses. Just dump them into the sandbox and just let me unlock them. Let me find them. Let me buy them. Let me destroy destroy ships and get them. Also, funny enough, something that they just added to freighters in the most recent update, there looks like there's cranes in the sort of landing pads within the freighter. There's like cranes and like a possible place where shipbuilding might actually take place. So Hello Games might have heard us on that one. Now, of course, we don't need to go all gummy ship here. If you're a Kingdom Hearts fan, you probably know what that means. I don't need to build my ship from scratch. That would be cool, but probably not necessary. It's probably fine, but I would love to see a lot more assets thrown in and the capability of earning these assets through raids or through, discovery. If you're looking for a way to really try to ramp up the sort of gameplay loop that's talked about a lot, that would definitely be a way to do it. So, love to hear from you in the comments there. Do you agree with my top 5 here? Do you think shipbuilding is necessary in No Man's Sky? Why or why not? What do you think of the water? Would you love to fly a frigate? What platforms do you own? And would you really like Hello Games to put the bandwidth on cross-save and cross-progression? And would you like to raid some frickin' dungeons on planet sides? That would be pretty cool. Well, it's great to be back. Sorry for the absence, everybody. My content creation laptop that I'm currently using just got back from the shop. The GPU fried in the last one, and they had to replace the whole board. That was a completely different experience that I may just talk about in a separate video because it was great, but yet it was stupid horrendous. A bad experience. If you're ever considering buying a laptop or a gaming PC from Asus, buyer beware. That's all I'm saying for the now. But anyway, thanks for stopping again by the LZ, and see you in the next one.